everyone, and welcome to Small Town Big Business, a podcast about doing big business, of course, in small towns. I'm your host for today, Deb Barnett. I'm also the executive director for Southern Illinois Now, where we focus on economic development in the 17 southernmost counties in Illinois. I want to start by thanking our sponsors for Small Town Big Business, Arcadia Wealth Group, Banterra Bank, Black Diamond, Harley-Davidson and RV, Fowler Heating and Cooling, Southern Illinois Now, Swinford Media Group, and of course, Watermark Auto Group Foundation. So today, as we dive into this conversation, I am so excited to welcome our very first winery vineyard guests on the podcast, and that is Brett and Regina Morrison, owners of Starview Vineyards. So welcome.
Good morning. Thank you for having us.
Yeah, I'm so excited. And of course, Luke is behind the scenes here. You know, we're going to have to draw him in one of these days. But he and I were both talking before you came, and I said, I just hope they bring wine.
Oh, yes.
Right? And for those who are listening, they absolutely did. If you're watching on YouTube, you can see it here in front of us. And let's just kind of go right into, tell us about the two of you, Starview, and how you got involved with Starview Vineyards.
Sure. So, long story short, I was a young kid, basically on summer vacation from school and wanting a job to buy a dirt bike. And my mom said, if I wanted a dirt bike, go get a job and you're going to pay for it yourself.
Go, Mom. I love that.
Okay. So I went down the road. A friend of mine and me went down the road, and a guy was planting 25 acres of grapevines. And we went up there and asked him if we could help him out. And he said, yeah, sure. If you do a good job, you can come back and work, the rest of the summer. And first day went by, planting grapevines all day, came back the next day. And
not easy work, I would imagine.
16 years later, I was still there. And so learned everything from the ground up. And got my wife, Regina, involved in the business back east in Pennsylvania. That's where we're born and raised, and I learned everything. And we decided between the two of us, she was running the tasting room operations and I was running all the wine production, that we could do it for ourselves. And we're like, let's try and find something that would work for us, and started looking around, and we landed here in Southern Illinois and found Starview.
I love that. So it sounds like you owe it all to Mom. If she had just bought you that dirt bike, you would have missed out on your life's calling, right?
And I tell her that all the time. Yeah. So we've been here at Starview since 2013. We moved here.
Yeah. So a little over 10 years now.
Yeah.
Yep. And we weren't even married a year before we packed up and moved. So
that's a lot of change.
Yes.
A move across the country, a new business, taking ownership. No family here for support.
Correct.
That's a lot.
But you know what? All the people we met along the way have become family.
Yeah.
So, it's tough being away from parents and cousins and all that, but we've definitely found a home here. And we're happy.
We hear that a lot in Southern Illinois, and I'm sure it is similar in other parts of the country. But you do hear people that come here and they're like, wow, these people are so welcoming, so friendly, so supportive, particularly the business community.
Yep.
So talk about that. What kind of community surrounds Southern Illinois and wineries and vineyards in the area?
So one thing that showed up on the list for Starview that was attractive to us was being on the wine trail. So right away, at that time, there were 10 other wineries that, they all want to succeed. So they were welcoming. They were happy to have a fresh set of eyes, and just kind of wanted to have our ideas, see what we had done back in Pennsylvania. And then just all the other small businesses in the area. They know what the hard work and dedication is, so they were just very welcoming.
And so for those listeners who maybe aren't from Southern Illinois or not familiar, the Shawnee Hills Wine Trail, and how many are along the trail now?
Now there's 12.
12.
Yep.
So most people might be surprised to hear, number one, there's a wine trail in Illinois, let alone Southern Illinois. So if they haven't been here, they need to come. They need to visit, come to Starview.
Yes.
But when they come to Starview, they will also, as they're hearing your voices and seeing you today, they they will also see you at your business because you're the owners, you're right there on site. Talk about how all of that works.
So yes, we are the owners and operators. So my position there is winemaker, vineyard manager. I also wear a lot of other hats too.
You make great wine, by the way.
Yeah. But also on Regina's end, she is basically the sales and tasting room and
all the
office and operations. Yeah.
And definitely can't forget to mention we have a great crew. Our tasting room staff go above and beyond. They want to make sure everyone that walks in the door has a good experience, because we don't want people just to come one time. We want them to keep coming back and just having those special moments. We've had weddings, bridal, baby showers. People come to Starview to celebrate. So
yes, and different events. I'm a frequent flyer myself, I will say. Yeah. So, but talk about that experience. What is important about creating that experience at Starview that makes people want to keep coming back?
I think just having the whole package. You can come out for a very casual, afternoon on the deck. We have a giant oak tree that you can hang out under in the yard. It provides so much shade. And then just having local live music. We have a lot of artists that their art is hanging in our tasting room. We support other small businesses like Ned's Shed in Vienna. We carry their barbecue. We have the Fired Up Jams and Jelly.
Yes.
Schoolhouse Cheesecake. It's so good. So I think people can just come and they can stay with us. We have an on-site lodging, a 4-bedroom house.
Really?
Yep. So you don't even have to leave the property.
Okay.
Yeah.
And is it just for adults, families? What?
We do welcome families, 2-legged and 4-legged children.
Okay.
And just when people ask, can my kids come? We just remind them, people are coming here to relax. So as long as your kids are well behaved and you're watching them, we want to accommodate everyone.
Yeah, I think that's a really good. Some really good examples of why any business should create this environment where people not only feel like they can come and relax or feel like, they're going to have a really good experience, but they do want to keep coming back.
Right.
And, a great product, which you obviously have, is important, but the fact that the two of you are on site and they get to meet the people behind the product, I think that's really what a lot of people buy into with the business. A product is great, but understanding the story behind it. Is so important.
With that, they'll also see our 5-year-old daughter, Lily. She's the real boss. So she's often running around playing with the cats or helping to deliver food. We want her to learn the family business and be a part of it too.
Sure.
Yeah.
How scary was it to go from, Brad, you mentioned kind of behind the scenes before and then jumping in not only all the way across the country, but jumping into this being your own thing. And the reason I ask, I think there are a lot of listeners maybe that are thinking about starting their own business or thinking about acquiring an existing business like you all did. What was it scary? Were you fully confident that the two of you could pull this off?
I'm not going to lie, it was very nerve-wracking at first. But then I kept reminding myself that I had 16 years of prior experience. I got to learn on someone else's dime. I had a great background of trials and errors. And so I got to learn the good, the ugly, and everything in between on someone else's dime. And so that pretty much gave me the confidence to say, we can do this. I've done it at a larger
a much larger
scale here. We can do the same thing scaled down here, the two of us, along with staff. And we've been successful now for 11 years, going strong.
Yeah. So what are some of those successes and challenges? And I don't know that you have to be specific, but again, I think we learn from our successes, but I think we learn just as much or more from the challenges that we go through.
So in the wine industry, and especially on my end of it, it all comes down to the final bottled product. And so that is my biggest challenges, is to make sure that I get to put out the best quality product year in and year out, make the customers come back and say, oh yeah, this is just as good or better than last year's. And so that's what I always strive for is to just keep doing better and better and better. And that's what also makes it fun. It's a challenge. It's not easy. So.
And you're dealing with weather, like Mother
Yes.
Nature.
I was just
becomes
thinking
more
that year to
farmers.
year, you never know.
Yes. Yes. So depending on weather, every year the wine in that bottle is basically different ingredients because of what Mother Nature handed you throughout the season. So then that's when the winemaking part of it comes in to basically manipulate or try and make the same product out of a different ingredient, basically. So it's difficult.
It is so interesting, just being able to walk in and buy a bottle of wine or get a glass of wine. You just sort of take for granted that it's there. But there's so much more behind the scenes.
A lot involved.
A lot involved. Well, you do it well.
Thank you.
You do it well. Talk a little bit about, so the two of you work together. It sounds like you have very distinct roles in the company.
Yes.
But for folks who are couples working together, any advice you would give?
I think just, making sure you separate work from pleasure. I feel like we work all day, every day, either answering emails or text messages, that sort of stuff. But just remembering that we are a couple, we are a family, we still have to have that balance and, take the vacation, take the day off to go have lunch together, because you have to have that strong bond, that strong foundation, because if not, it will leak into your business. And if things aren't going good at home, like it will affect your business.
And I think that's whether, you're a couple like the two of you, or you just have a business partner,
Right, yeah.
whatever, you have to.
Yes.
Yeah.
And again, like you said, for us, it's a little easier because it's almost like we're in two different departments.
Yeah. I haven't heard it so much recently, but people would always say, like, how do you work together every day? And I'm like, well, we really don't.
Yeah.
I mean, we'll leave the house together, but then he's down at the winery, like the production room or facility.
Out in the vineyard or...
and I'm in the tasting room. So we might not see each other until that evening. So...
Yeah, it works.
Yeah, we have a good balance.
Yeah.
So I also think one of the things, especially for small business owners, that is difficult is they try to do it all,
Yes.
right? And they have a certain area of expertise or interest that cause them to get into the business, but then they're trying to do the accounting and they're trying to do the whatever that is. And they don't sometimes think they can afford to outsource those things that aren't their areas of expertise, but they don't realize that by doing so, it's freeing them up to then help grow their business.
Focus on what matters.
That's right. So how do you all focus on what matters? You mentioned your staff earlier, but talk about some of those things.
So I think it really hit me like once we had our daughter. So like I said, she's 5. I did step out of the tasting room quite a bit. I used to be there, every day working behind the bar. But I think it just took time to realize, it is okay to delegate. And we have recently.
And not just okay, it's
like,
almost
it's crucial.
It's crucial.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a good word for it.
We did recently hire someone to handle our social media, which, unless you're the one doing the social media for a business, like it's very time consuming.
Yes.
So I just feel like I have this huge weight off my shoulders. It allowed me to be able to come here and, do this with you versus, oh my gosh, do I have all my posts scheduled for the week?
And probably really minimal in cost in comparison to the return on the investment of time.
And I mean,
that you
just
have.
keeping up with everything, like doing reels and all this with AI and everything, like there's just always something to learn. And if there's someone that, can do it for us and do it better than I can, well, I just felt like it was time to let that happen.
Of course. Really smart.
Yeah.
Really smart.
I do still do all the accounting. I enjoy that part. There's monthly taxes and paying all the bills, that's another part of the business. But that is something I do enjoy that I'll probably never let go.
But I think that's a good point. Not only do you enjoy it, you have the skill to do it.
Right.
And I think the things for some business owners that they're trying to hang on to are the things that are just a drudgery for them and they dread and or they're not really skilled at.
Yeah.
Right.
And those are the kinds of things that really folks need to look at how they can let those things go.
Yes. Absolutely.
kind of like you with mowing the grass this year.
Yeah.
He was gonna, not that you want to cut corners, but it's like, where can we save money? And so it's like, well, if he mows the grass, we'll save a lot of money. But
Yeah, I'm a little more hard-headed when it comes to delegating. But it honestly comes down to the product. I have a hard time letting go with someone else's hands in my finished product.
Course.
And I mean, you are a one-man show.
Yeah.
He doesn't have, like, I have a tasting room staff. He does not have anyone.
But again, I was used to a much larger scale, having to manage a lot more on my plate. And I did have some staff under me, but this being scaled back is more manageable for me. So I feel almost it's not hobby level, but it's a lot less than what I was used to.
Sure.
So I can handle it.
So let's talk about the product. And you've received a lot of awards. You're on the Shawnee Hills Wine Trail, Illinois Made. You were recognized through Illinois Made. Share a little bit about that. Where did all that come about, and what does that mean for your business?
Yeah, so we're very proud to be on the Shawnee Hills Wine Trail. So like you said, there's 12 members on the trail, and it draws a lot of people from all different areas to Southern Illinois.
Would you say from across the country and also internationally?
We've had people from Switzerland, Germany. Really around the globe. But yes, also nationwide. We've had people from nearly every state come through our door. Other than that, we're very proud to offer the award-winning wines. So we enter the wines in competitions, and then they get judged by judge panels, and they vote them or rate them, whether they're high quality or missing something or whatever. And you receive medals. And so we've won numerous medals, a lot of prestigious medals at international and national wine competitions.
Congratulations.
So we're very proud of that. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Just kind of shows you at the end of the day that you're doing something right, So.
Well, and whether it's your industry or another's, I think it's important for companies to seek out what are those ways to get your business recognized, the region. So that not only brings recognition to Starview, it brings recognition to Southern Illinois, it brings recognition to the state of Illinois and your industry, as a whole. So many times I always say people are just, especially here in Southern Illinois, just a humble people, heads down, working hard. Like we don't take the time to sing our own praises, right? But those types of recognitions can help us do that.
Yes. So when customers come in, that's kind of a visual they can see. We have all of our medals displayed on our fireplace mantle in the tasting room, and some other plaques on the walls from awards and stuff that we've received, and articles, and it's been great.
Regina, talk about Illinois Made.
Yes, so we were inducted, I guess that was last year, into the Illinois Made program. And they're just looking for different Illinois makers that are making a good product from Illinois products.
And there are lots of products made in Illinois. So the fact that you were selected or inducted into that group is really something to be proud of.
Yes. It's a plate that we got, and that was by one of the Illinois makers. And so that's proudly hanging in our tasting room. And just another way to kind of show off all of our hard work that,
It's cool to be recognized for all your hard work. Here we're pouring our heart and souls into a handcrafted product and able to enjoy or have the public come and consume it, enjoy it, and just get the feedback of it. And to me, that's the biggest reward of the job, is just seeing all the people gathering around, enjoying a good time with something that you handcrafted.
That is so important. As we're talking about, you talked about the support system that you have with each other, the support system with the Shawnee Hills Wine Trail, and that community, and the broader business community, which I don't know that it's completely unique to Southern Illinois, but I do see a lot of businesses that think local first. So if they're looking for a product to bring into their tasting room, in your case, they're looking local first.
Absolutely.
What other kinds of support systems do you have that the listeners might kind of take away from? Because we all need support. We can't do this in isolation, right?
Sure. Yeah. I mean, as far as support for us, I would say our local community is the biggest support we've had. I mean, from day one, really. I mean, the people that have been faithful to Starview since we took over and are still continued to be good customers and support us.
And the other local businesses. You can find our wine in a lot of local, not only liquor stores, but restaurants. So it's just nice to see that they're not just carrying like California wine, because they can get that a lot cheaper, but that they want to carry a local product.
And did they come to you, or did you actively seek out those?
I think it goes both
Yeah, a
ways.
little bit of both.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
A lot of I'd say probably the restaurants that we frequent, I think they just started to notice, hey, they're coming in. Hey, they make good wine. We should carry it.
Yeah.
So
We'll sell
I
your
think it
wine
goes
here. Hey,
both ways.
we'll bring our wine to you and then eat dinner while we're here. So it goes,
Exactly.
it works out.
It's a great pair.
Yeah.
So, Brett, you mentioned that you came into Starview with a background
Yes.
in winemaking.
Yeah.
Again, I mentioned earlier, I just sort of take for granted being able to go in and buy a bottle of wine or get a glass of wine, but take us behind the scenes a little bit. You don't have to give away all your secrets.
Sure.
But what goes into, I mean, I don't know if we want to go all the way back to just planting the vine, because that takes a while before the vine even produces, right?
Yes. So someone just getting started to just establish a vineyard is basically a 4 to 5 year investment. So you buy a vine, put it in the ground. You're not going to get a crop to produce wine for about 4 to 5 years.
So it's not like my tomatoes I planted this year and 90 days later I had some tomatoes. This is a 5-year commitment.
The entire process of wine is good things take time.
Okay.
So it takes a while to get your first crop. It is harvest season right now, so we typically begin harvest late August into early September. We're a little ahead this year with the hot, dry weather we've had. But we're in the thick of harvest right now, so the wines are being made, which means the grapes are being picked. We hand pick everything, so everything's brought in, hand picked, processed on site. Basically from there, you're crushing the grapes to extract the juices to turn into wine, and you go through fermentations and a lot of other steps come in play there. But after a series
So
of...
it really is a science.
Yes, there's a lot of science involved. Again, with Mother Nature, depicting on how the crop comes in is the processes that I will use in the wine cellar. But then the sweet wines are typically ready for market after about 3 months. And the dry red wines are ready in anywhere from 24 months or so, because they'll go into a barrel for at least 12 months, and then we like to cellar age another 6 months in the bottle. And so it's quite a process.
That is quite a process. I will never take for granted again just being able to go buy a bottle of wine.
Yeah.
That's amazing. Talk a little bit about, and again, I think for our listeners, this could transfer to any industry, just how you've diversified your business. So it's not just the wine, although that is primary and very important. That's the foundation for what you all do. But you've also diversified in your business to have other revenue streams, let's say. So talk about that a little bit and how important that is.
So we have increased our wholesale market. So every other week we're calling the local businesses that carry our wine, and I load my car up and go deliver. Like when we leave here, we'll be stopping places. But then on site, as I mentioned, we have our lodging. So that's available on Airbnb and VRBO. So it's a 4-bedroom house. So people come have fun over the weekend. Don't really have to leave the property. And then our 5-year goal was to restore our barn. So I don't know how old. It's
It
pretty
was
old.
early 1900s barn with a dirt floor, really neat, solid oak wood beam framing and all that. And it was to the point it was going to fall to the ground or it was going to need to be restored.
Okay.
And we
So
decided.
We hired, he's now a great friend of ours, a guy to come in with his crew. And after the first day, I wasn't sure if they were going to come back. It was pretty gross.
Yeah.
But they did. And now it's where people can rent the barn out for bridal showers, baby showers, you name it. We do business, like Christmas parties, anything. So having that space has really helped us, because prior to that, we would rent our side room. And, you know, if the weather was too hot, too cold, raining, snowing, then customers had nowhere to go.
Sure.
So this has just helped us expand our business. And we help like other local businesses. They'll do fundraisers, charity events in the barn. So
And it no longer has a dirt floor. It's fully conditioned, separate bar over there, bathrooms, all that. So it's pretty nice space.
So you have the wine, the tasting room, event center, Airbnb. You have all kinds of events. I've been to several events. They're always amazing, and just a beautiful property, especially, I mean, really year round. But at the time of this recording, we're going into fall, and you can just see over, you know, standing on the deck, and you can see, it looks like for miles and miles.
We
just
enjoy it.
really, really beautiful.
Yeah.
So you have all of that going now. What's next for Starview?
I'll let you answer that.
I think just continuing to attract new customers. We'd love to maybe improve like our yard space with our, you know, live music area. Maybe adding new wines to the lineup. But just to have people keep coming back. And did you have something else you were gonna?
No.
Well, sign me up. We'll keep coming back. We'll keep coming back. Is there anything we missed today? Anything else that you want the listeners to know about Starview, about the industry, about business, just in general, that we've missed?
I think also just, you know, we're easy to get to. We're about 5.5 miles from 57, 3 miles from 51. But when you're like, we're close to the interstate, but when you get there, like you're gonna,
You don't feel like it.
You're miles and miles
You
away.
do.
yes.
I think that's one of the things I love the most, because when I first, my husband Mike and I, when we first started going years and years ago on the wine trail, we just felt like we had traveled to another place, right?
Yeah.
And like we were on vacation somewhere.
Right. Oh, yeah.
And we live right here. And we were still, 15, 20 minutes from home.
Yeah.
Sure.
And now with all, your Airbnb and all of the other things, the Shawnee National Forest, the wine trail, all of these things that Southern Illinois has to offer, we're seeing just a lot of folks come and vacation here.
Yes.
And for someone who's grown up in Southern Illinois, I would have never thought, what, like people come to vacation?
Right. Yeah.
But the more that I even dive into and our co-host on the podcast, Jennifer Olson, she always says, at least once a month you need to go out and live like a tourist in your own community.
It's pretty neat what we have in our own backyards.
It's so beautiful.
The orchards, the great restaurants,
Giant City Lodge.
and Giant City State Park. Like you don't have to travel far to get all just the cool things.
It's amazing to me when I am in the tasting room to even on a weekly basis, we'll have people from Chicago or somewhere even closer come in, and they had no clue that Illinois made wine, Illinois had wineries, and that Southern Illinois is as beautiful as it is with the rolling hills and everything that's here. Yeah.
And now we have the direct flight from Chicago to Marion. So in 45 minutes, folks from the northern part of the state can get to the southern part or vice versa and spend a weekend, spend a week, all the lakes. I mean, it's never ending. And the word I thought of when we were talking about that, just sitting out on your deck, it really allows you to relax, as you said, Regina, and just breathe.
Just get away.
Just breathe.
Yep.
We all need that downtime.
Yes, we do.
You sure do. With a glass of wine in your hand.
That's right. Nothing better. Nothing better. So to kind of wrap it up, I'm going to end with the question that I love, and it is, what is your why? And you can answer it together, separately, however you want to do it. But what is your why?
So me in particular, my why is because, again, long story short, I wanted a dirt bike as a kid.
I love that.
And when,
I'm so glad you took that full circle.
Yeah, and you know, when I realized what the job was I got into, the challenges, and I always liked challenges as a kid, and the diversities as the year would progress from the stages in the vineyard and then the stages throughout the winemaking process in the cellar. And it was just a cycle of always something different and how each year changed. It wasn't always just a repetitious same thing year in and year out. That's what drove me to want to keep doing it more and more.
Do you have a dirt bike now?
Sure do, to this day.
You should put it out in front saying where it all began.
Yeah.
Where it all began.
Yeah.
I love that story.
Yeah.
What about you, Regina? What's your why?
I think just knowing that Starview is a place where people come for a good time and the special moments in their lives. And I feel like I say that often, but to me, it's just such an honor that, you know, people can choose anywhere to go and they come see us. And I grew up with my parents having their own business. I went to school for business management. So I always saw myself as being my own boss. Just, I would have never thought of vineyard, but I love it. It's just a lot of fun. It's a lot of work, but we enjoy it. And I just can't wait to see, you know, what's next.
Yeah. I think any business owner can take away from that. Like, you want people to come, as you've already said, and have that great experience, want to come back, feel like they're at home, know the people behind the product, all of those things. And that's part of that, building that loyalty, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
So where can people find Starview? We've talked about where you're located, but if they're traveling from out of town or even here, or do you also ship your wines?
Yes.
Okay.
Yep, we ship to
so
most
tell us all
states.
about that. How can people find you?
So just our website, starviewvineyards.com. You can order right from the website. UPS will bring it to your front door, and you'll have your wine within a few days.
Yeah.
We're on, you know, the social media, Facebook, Instagram, and then just within the area, you can find our wine in restaurants and liquor stores, and then as far north as Peoria, we have our wine. So
very good.
Yeah.
And as we mentioned at the start, you have several wines here on the table.
Yes.
And you also have your sangria, which is bottled.
Yes.
And is that common? Bottled sangria? I mean, I guess it is in some ways, but
there might be one or two other wineries in the area that have.
I don't know in the area, but you will see some on the shelf. But this is one of our wines that we produce as a base. So it's our Moonlight White wine as a base. And then I add organic fruit juices to it. So all the flavors are already intermingled in the wine. You can garnish it if you want, but it's ready to drink right out of the bottle.
love that.
Yeah.
All right. Well, Brett and Regina Morrison, Starview Vineyards, thank you so much.
Thanks for having us.
Joining us today. It's been a great conversation.
Yeah.
And if folks that are listening have not been to Starview and they come, make sure you tell Brett and Regina you heard it here on Small Town Big Business. And again, just thank you so much for coming.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah. So, and thank you for joining us today. Again, to find Small Town Big Business, we are on your favorite podcast platforms, also on the YouTube channel. If you search us out on YouTube for this episode, you'll get to see these amazing wines here on the table. Want to once again thank our sponsors, Arcadia Wealth Group, Banterra Bank, Black Diamond Harley Davidson and RV, Fowler Heating and Cooling, Southern Illinois Now, Swinford Media Group, Union Street Arts, and of course, Watermark Auto Group Foundation. I am your host for today, Deb Barnett with Southern Illinois Now. You can find us at southernillinoisnow.org, and we're recording here at Ethos at the Citadel in Marion, Illinois. Thanks for joining us today.